accounting. What does that really mean? You know, the accounting world uses words that can be very difficult for most people to understand, and now they put this word in accrual accounting. Well, it really isn't that difficult when you consider accrual versus cash. I'm going to explain that to you. Hi, I'm Vin Shumbry, president of WOWzer Technologies. So let's talk about it a little bit. As you know, cash is cash. So when you look at your bank account, sometimes you have this feeling that, you know what, that why isn't my bank account match my, what we call your profit statement. It's also called an income statement or profit and loss. In other words, your revenues minus your expenses. Here's the biggest tip I can tell you about what an accrual is. If you have accounts payable and accounts receivable, that's accrual accounting. Whereas cash basis as opposed to accrual basis means that, you know what, there's no accounts payable, no accounts receivable. When you bill someone, you actually get the money right then and there. So, but in accrual accounting, you create an invoice to be paid later. This is why on your profit and loss, okay, if you want to call it that, your profitability statement, this is why you see the sale, but it doesn't look, but the number in your bank account is not the same. That's why. It really, what it does is it accounts for the time lapse. In other words, you issue an invoice, but you don't receive the money today, you receive it sometime in the future. The same is true in your accounts, that's called an accounts receivable. The same is true in accounts payable. Your vendors, your suppliers, they issue you an invoice, but you don't pay it till a week, a month later, maybe even longer. That's why it is the way that it is. So it is to account for the difference in time from when you issue your invoice for your goods and services and to the time you actually get the money. You say, is that it? Actually, yeah, that is it, right? This is one of the reasons why, you know, you go like, hang on a moment, my profit and loss says I made this much money, but where's the money in the bank account? That's why. If you go and look at your accounts receivable, and you can see right then and there that, you know, oh my goodness, you know what, I got all these invoices I haven't collected on. That's your reason why. Because really, what you need to look at is your cash and your accounts receivable. That tells you how much money you have incoming, and subtract what? Your credit cards, and subtract your accounts payable. Now you have what we call a cash basis. That's really the difference between what we call accrual accounting. In other words, into the future, if you want to call it that, of money coming in and money going out, versus, you know, if you had a cash business where basically, hey, you sell something, you get the money right now. What's an example of a cash business? What's an example of an accrual business? Well, cash business, for example, Amazon would be considered a cash business. Why? Try buying something without paying for it on your credit card right away. You say, but Vince, that's on my credit card. Yes, it is. It's a form almost of both, but the reality is they get their money right away. So look at it from that perspective. Now you may end up with a bill, you may end up in the accrual world, but they end up on the cash basis. You know, I don't know if you know, but companies like Amazon have a lot of cash. That's why. Okay? They don't give you a grace period to pay. You pay now, you get it. You don't pay now, you don't get it. It's just the way it works. Okay? So that's how you can tell the difference. And the same is true the other way. Don't forget, you know what? You also participate on the other side. You say, what? You get an invoice. As opposed to, you know what? You actually have to go to a place and pay cash. In other words, you pay through your debit card, because debit cards, they take the money out of your bank account right away. Whereas a credit card assumes what? You pay later. So whenever you pay later, or you get the money later, that is called accrual. Now, it doesn't translate right, as opposed to if you get the money now in your bank account, minus your fees, and you have to pay now, and it gets taken out of your bank account as well, That's called cash, right? So therefore that's cash basis versus accrual basis. So in summary, accrual accounting is one of those terms in accounting that can drive people crazy, because really you go like, I never hear that term anywhere before. But so then all you have to remember is, do you have accounts payable and accounts receivable on your actual business? If you have those, and even credit cards as a form of accrual, because you're actually either receiving the money later or paying later. That's all that really means, nothing else but that. If the answer is yes, you have an accrual business. If you actually receive the money right now in your bank account, I ain't talking, I'm talking about if they pay by some form of debit card, cash, check, right, that you can deposit. Now, even a check, if it bounces, you still don't have the money. That's a different issue. But let's assume that the actual check will clear, okay? Then that for you, if you're receiving the money right now and you have to pay right now, and I'm not talking about a credit card, I'm talking about, a debit card, it comes out of your account, that's cash basis. And both exist, by the way. In the accounting world, both forms exist. In other words, basis, that is cash and accrual. So hopefully that has helped you and has brought some clarity. We at WOWzer are AI driven and people focused, and we use AI to actually do what? We use it so that we can have information more accurately on a more timely basis. And therefore, actually we get the AI brings us closer to cash on a cash basis than it does on an accrual basis. But then again, you can never tell when a customer of yours pays you, and then you can decide when to pay as well. And now we're back into accrual. So I hope that's helped. Have a great day. And you know what? Look forward to talking to you soon. Remember, WOWzer Technologies, AI driven, people focused. We focus on you and how we can help you. Ciao for now.